There is a hadith from the Prophet ﷺ that people tend to misconstrue. The Prophet ﷺ says in the authentic hadith, الدنيا ملعونة ملعون ما فيها إلا ذكر الله وما والاه. This worldly life and everything in it is kept away from the mercy of Allah, is void of the mercy of Allah, mal'una, cursed, except the dhikr of Allah, the worship, the praise of Allah, and everything that feeds into it and aligns with it. And people say, how come, other matters are void of the mercy of Allah? It's because the purpose. Allah created us to worship Him. He created the jinn to worship Him. Why are we here on earth? To worship Allah. What are we supposed to do with our life? Worship Allah. So what about our dreams? What about my hobbies and the things that I enjoy? What about the fun that I have in this life? Does that fall under the things that are void of the mercy of Allah? And that's a big question, and it needs to be answered. So the reality of our existence is that it exists in the first place for the fulfillment of one divine purpose. And that is to worship Allah. That is to obey Allah. To glorify Allah. And that means to love Allah. And if our life is not a true reflection and commitment to this purpose, then it falls under the category that is void of the mercy of Allah. Most people get this wrong because of one main point. What is the meaning of worship? People think that their family life is not worship. They think their work is not worship. They think they're providing for their family and for their children and their dependents is not worship. They think that the suffering and the pain that they go through in this life, if they remain patient and resilient, they think this is not worship. And that's where the confusion comes in. This hadith talks about the overall direction of life, our purpose, what should be our focus. You are created for a noble purpose. You are here on earth on a great mission. You have a mission of being a true hero that is greater than all of these delusional pursuits and environments and engagements that are designed to keep you small and insignificant. That's the reality of these distractions. So when a child is young and we ask them, what do you want to be in the future? We want them to talk about what? Their profession, their future profession, their career. We want them to talk about their dreams of making money and wealth and success, as if this is the ultimate meaning of their existence and their life. So if someone is going to be successful, they're going to make a lot of money, they're going to buy a beautiful house, they're going to marry and have children and die, then what? What's the point? There must be something bigger than that, and that's why we are created. This is why we are placed in this life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us for a noble mission. And it is something He Himself values. And that's to love Him, to seek Him, to live our life for Him. That's a life of meaning. That's a life of purpose. That's a life of virtue. That's a life of generosity and accomplishment and achievement. Your career, the success of your business, all of these are supposed to be building blocks in the journey that you are traveling to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because without Allah, none of that has any value. You are created for something eternal. You are created for something that transcends time and space. The consequences of the purpose that you are created for live forever, for eternity. So you can't limit your life by dedicating it to something that dies the moment you leave this life. And there is no pursuit that transcends the limits of time and space but the worship of Allah alone, for which the heavens and the earth are created. There is no noble mission that you can give your life for. The worship of Allah is not only staying at the masjid or the corner of the masjid and praying rak'ah after rak'ah, although this is a great part and a great dimension of our worship of Allah. But the worship of Allah is a way of life, is a unified direction that can pull the strings of your life and give them meaning. And it builds a moral standard within you that will push you away from every evil, and it will encourage you to engage with everything that is good. You can transcend the petty life of serving yourself and your base desires and living a life, just a life of fulfillment, to the life of fulfillment of something noble and transcendent. That's why we are here on this earth. This is what your family life means. This is what your success in your career means. And this is what it should mean. It never stands alone. Don't waste your life pursuing something that dies the moment you die. Pursue something beyond.